Okay, folks. This is a conversation that I think shovelhead owners, shovelhead Harley Davidson shovelhead, backyard sort of blokes that riders that do their own services and that need to know. This here is called a compensator nut, and this is what I'm here to talk about today, because there's a hell of a lot of confusion. If I go here, talk specs on a compensator nut, right, and we're getting figures like 400 to well, this one here recommends for Loctite 100 foot-pounds to 140 foot-pounds, but the manual says for the compensator sprocket nut 400 foot-pounds for the 75 FLH. And here we got, this is just a regular forum, all right. I don't remember the exact amount. Mine, 3 drops of Loctite, and he put it up to 225 foot-pounds. Poor Carl. Here we go, 225 foot-pounds, that's Carl again. This guy's done, manual says 400 foot-pounds. And then, 72 to later, 170 foot-pounds. And I could go on and on. I always thought it was 165 foot-pounds. I could go on and on and on. It's all in here, and every other forum's pretty much the same. Okay, this nut is obviously getting confused for the sprocket shaft nut, and I'm guilty of it myself. It drove me nuts trying to find out a long time ago. But here you go, you got your, all right, I've got all the specs down here, and I've written them in large here. This is for your sprocket shaft nut, all right? Your sprocket shaft goes between the flywheels. That is not this nut. This is the compensator nut. Even if you go to buy a compensator, a sprocket shaft nut online, they'll show you a compensator nut. That's how mixed up this shit is. And you'll think, oh, that must be the sprocket shaft nut because they're advertising it as a sprocket shaft nut, and it's not. It's a compensator nut. Okay? This one here holds your pulley on for your belt pulley on. Okay? That is a compensator nut. I can't reiterate it enough. All right? This thing should not be done. I'll get into it in a minute, but I'm going to explain it. I've got my parts catalogue here. All right, so here we go, just to prove a point. We've got nut, sprocket shaft, number 34. I'll go over here, 34. There it is, in between your flywheels. It has nothing to do with what goes on the end here. And this is another problem. They don't show it in the manuals on the end, and they don't have a name, so if it's not there, you can't see what that nut is called. And if I go back to the climber manual, there's no mention of a compensator nut down here at all either. So this is why there's so much confusion. It's a dark horse in the business. And it's also not a left-hand thread like the transmission countershaft nut. All right, so that's a countershaft nut. That's a left-hand thread. All right, so here's your motor sprocket shaft compensator nut. Holds on the primary belt pulley. Right, it's a right-hand thread, normal thread, okay. Gets confusing because the transmission one's a left-hand thread, and everybody might think well, a lot of people thinks this is a left-hand thread as well because the way the pulley spins, but it's not, okay? It's not. And it'll undo you, because when you go to tighten it up, I've heard of blokes getting their compensator nut like hacked up, cut off, pulled off, you know, to get the pulley and all that off. They've really stuffed it up. So it can be a major job if you get it wrong. If you don't tighten it up enough, your main bearing cluster and that can walk and cause a lot of drama inside your cases and everything. Then you might as well throw your cases out. So, well, at least your left-hand case out. But, you know, this is the problems it can cause. Now, 80 to 100 foot-pound is a general consensus for a small dab of red Loctite. And I'd suggest putting it down deep inside the nut, not up on the first lot of threads, because if you need to heat it up to crack that Loctite later to get it off to change your seal or check your stator or whatever you're in there for, you need to you need to get that nut off, change your belt, whatever you're doing, right? You want to make it easy, not too hard. I have heard of people talking about BDL and Primo specs on the belt drives going from 160, 150 to 165 foot-pound, maybe with the wider belts and that, I'm not real sure. But this is a starting point. And the best thing to do with these lock nuts, to secure them fully, is to put a keeper over it. If you've got an open belt pulley or a belt pulley, you'll have holes in that pulley that'll be threaded. You put a keeper over there that is hex-shaped hole cut out in the middle that'll go over there, and they'll have cammed holes around either 3 or 2 sides where those holes are. And you put in the screw, the bolts in there, the small bolts in there, screws, whatever they are, like Allen key or whatever, and that'll be a keeper that'll stop this nut from walking. Okay, so here you go. Here's the specs for your sprocket shaft nut that goes in between your flywheels. Most general backyard mechanics or maintenance guys shouldn't even go between the flywheels. That's more of a machinist job. I'd leave that to the specialists. Okay, so I mean, you know, it's up to you. You go in there, well, you've got a lot to deal with, but not where I'd want to go. You need specialised equipment and all sorts of things, and it gets very expensive going in there. So we shouldn't even be playing around, most of us, with this sprocket shaft nut, and shouldn't have any concern for that. Okay, what most of us are looking at, I'd expect most backyarders and that would like to focus on this nut here. Okay, as far as going, and it also gets mixed up a lot when people just say sprocket shaft nut, because you got the sprocket shaft you got this, hang on, not the compensator nut, this one here. On the transmission, you got your counter shaft nut. Okay, this is the 3 of them, they get mixed up. Alright, so there's different torque settings for this one, this one, and this one. 3 different nuts, 3 different lots of torque settings, and I'll drive you bloody nuts trying to work it all out, and I hope this video clears it up. And I don't know, if you're a shop owner or mechanic or something, and you got one of your clients asking you about all this, and then maybe you can show them this video, help you out. If you're a backyarder looking at doing this sort of work, then maybe this will help you out. I'm sure it will, because there's a lot of different things getting thrown around online, and it gets very confusing to work it out. Okay, have a good day.